So, Bhavya, if you had requested anything else, today was your chance to get a big lottery. And the reason is that we are going to be covering planets today.
I just realized I was on mute. But that's awesome that we're covering planets.
Yeah.
Something problem going on.
If you guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we'll get started today. Today we will be covering planets, okay? And everything in planets is whatever you learn and whatever we have covered about houses. These are very basic elements, and it's basically you have to know all of these things. Okay, there's we can't not know these things. I mean, do you have to memorize it? If it requires some memorization, you will need to memorize it. But I also think that we will talk so much about each of these significances that it wouldn't it should come naturally to you after some time. And so the first planet is Sun. Also, another thing I want to tell you is that, I'm not going to be as exhaustive in my delivery. It's if I, look at the sun's significances, they can be very, very, very long. So, what most astrologers, when we talk about it, if we understand a basic uh, uh, character of the planet, then we can extend the significances. Otherwise, if I give you like 50 significances to memorize for sun and then 50 for moon, it'll be very, very difficult for anyone to do that. Do you guys agree?
Yep. Yes, for sure.
Okay, but everything on this slide you should know, okay? Because when we get into analyzing horoscopes and stuff like that, you will find that you will you will find that these significances are what we are basing our analysis on. So we read about the Upchai houses, we read about the Kendras, the Trikonas, we read about the Trik houses, the Dushtanas. We understood what different rashis are. We understand the Kal Purush Kundli. All of these things are basic elements that we take into account when we are uh, gauging or making any kind of analysis on our horoscope. Sun is the most important planet. It's called the king of planets. Okay, all planets aspect the seventh house from itself, and I have a chart at the very end that we will cover, where I will cover aspects in a little detail. So sun also has the aspect of the seventh house from wherever it's sitting. Okay, sun is the cause of creation. Okay, so all of the nine planets, they have been assigned one of the Vishnu's Dashavatar. So for Sun, the Vishnu's avatar is Ram, Bhagwan Ram. And if you know Bhagwan Ram, we also used to say he is Suryavanshi, correct?
Yeah.
So Bhagwan Ram is represented. If we have a sun issue and we want to learn more about the sun, then we look at if we have problems and we want to fix something, we look at one, are we going to do, how are we going to pacify sun? It governs the soul. Remember, I talked about earlier on when we first started the moon ascendant, the moon, where the moon is, where the sun is, and where the lagna is. And I talked about the sun governing the soul at that time, the moon governing the mind.
There is some noise coming, which is we're not able to hear properly. I don't know what noise is that.
If you guys can mute.
Dhruv can go on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. So then I talked about and that lagna is you yourself. So the sun is governing the soul. That's important to understand. Okay. It represents the father. It also represents the eldest male child. Okay, but mostly it represents the father. The color is orangish red. Okay, the Bhagwa color that we call, like, it's the orangish red. Okay, it's a fiery planet. We have already learned about that. And some key significances. Sun represents authority. He's firm. Remember, we said he's a cruel planet because a king needs to make some hard decisions sometimes. Okay, he's the king. He has extreme confidence. Sun gives you status. He gives you fame. Okay, somebody's prominent son can make him a very good administrator. Okay, governance, people who work in government. Okay, it also represents bones and the right eye. Okay, he is Lord of the Rashi, Leo. So remember that Kal Purush Kundli, the number 5 Rashi is Leo. So the sun is Lord of Leo. He is exalted. Exalted means he is most happy sitting in the Aries sign. Whenever sun is placed in the Aries sign, he's very, very happy. That's an exalted sun. So right now, the sun is in Aries. So people who are going to be born for the next month, they are all going to have their sun in Aries. Okay. There is exaltation. There is an own sign where the planet owns that sign. So Leo is sun's own Rashi. Then there is an exaltation sign, which is the best. Where is sun the happiest? The Mool Trikona sign is what we call is second happiest in order of priority in the Mool Trikona sign. Okay, and I think we talked about Venus owning 2 houses like Taurus and Libra. We talked about all planets owning 2 houses except Sun and Moon, correct? And Rahu and Ketu were not in that scheme of ownership. Okay, but so Mool Trikon means, so what happens is, say somebody is a Taurus Lagna. That means Venus is the Lord of Taurus. But Venus also owns Libra. Okay? Now, if you draw Taurus Kundli, you will see that Libra is in the 6th house from Taurus. Libra is number 7 sign. So when we start from number 2 sign, the 6th house will be number 7, which is Libra. Okay? Venus is an ascendant lord. Ascendant lord is always good, but we cannot forget that it is still the 6th lord also. Somewhere it will give you the 6th lord effect also, 6th house effect, and very, very powerfully, because that will be its Mool Trikon sign. So after the exaltation sign, the most important sign is the Mool Trikon sign. Okay, and then the sign that they own. And then the third is where the planet is not happy at all, which is, we call it debilitated sign. Okay. Why is sun happiest in Aries? Who owns that house? Who owns Aries? We talked about it.
Mars, which is a fiery planet.
Yeah. Mars owns that sign, right? Who is Mars? Commander in Chief. So Sun is naturally very, very happy being close to his commander-in-chief. Okay? Every planet, whichever house they're exalted in, the seventh house from it, they will be debilitating. So the seventh sign from Aries will be Libra. Okay? So example again for Venus, if Venus is exalted in Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces and it's debilitated in Virgo. So again, the seventh house from it.
So, but Sanjeev, one more thing. You were saying that it aspects the seventh house, right? It looks at the seventh house.
Yes, every planet aspects seventh house from it. That's
Correct.
one concept. Okay? Forget about aspect. Aspect in Hindi is वहां पे दृष्टि डाल रहे हैं. They are looking
Correct.
at that sign. Okay? The debilitation and exaltation, they're also 1-7 from each other all the time. Okay? But I'm just teaching you a simple thing. If you remember a sign's exaltation sign, then you automatically know, okay, it will be debilitated in the seventh house from it, in the seventh sign. Okay? But two different concepts. Okay? Now, the placement of Sun and the aspects on it, which planet is aspecting from which house we're not doing analysis, but Sun is so important that the placement of Sun itself can give us major insights about the person. Remember, we were looking at some charts and I said if Sun is associated with the ascendant, its own sign or exaltation sign or the 10th house, that person will have some fame in his life. Okay, some leadership role that person will execute in his life. Sun is very, very important. So we can look at all of the planets again from the perspective of, are they in Earth Trikon, are they in Kam Trikon, are they in Dharm Trikon, are they in Moksha Trikon? We can also try to gauge it from there. But Sun is a very important planet. It removes the darkness from within you. Okay? From within you, only one planet has the capability to remove darkness, and that is Sun. Okay? So it can burn the negativity of any bad houses. So if it goes in the sixth house, if Sun is placed in the sixth house, which is a pretty bad house, all the Shadripus are in the sixth house. Okay? Greed, desires, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Matsarya, Mad, all those things are greed. So they are all in the sixth house. Okay? But if Sun goes in the sixth house, it can take care of it. It can be a huge blessing if Sun is there. Okay? In Kal Purush Kundli, Sun is the lord of the fifth house, right? That's a Purva Punya.
Yeah. Leo.
And therefore, this is the planet that can remove the darkness from within you and destroy all the sins. Rahu and Sun is not a good combination because one, there's a couple of reasons. One, because Rahu is cloud, it's Dhua, and Sun is light. So Rahu can kind of give a shade to the Sun. And even when we have eclipse, there's Rahu and Ketu role. If you look at the old stories, mythological stories, there's Rahu and Ketu involved in there. I think I had mentioned about Samudra Manthan and Amrit, how it was formed, and when Amrit was being distributed, at that time, Vishnuji had chopped off Rahu and one demon into two pieces. The head portion became Rahu, and the tail portion became Ketu. So Rahu and Sun have a natural enmity to themselves. Dhruv, did you have a question?
I was just wondering, like you said, that is it true then that the Sun is any house it's in, it's going to be beneficial to that house?
मैं karmic को देखो नाम की थोड़ी white raw and picture लाऊंगी.
Okay, somebody is on the phone.
Okay, उसी तक के लगे.
Meena, can you mute yourself? Okay. So sun in any house will give some benefit results, but we have to look at is what is the lordship of sun in that particular chart. What other bad influences it has on it. If it's being aspected by a malefic planet, okay, that they will also play their role on it. Saturn and Sun are natural enemies, even though they're father and son, but they're natural enemies. Anytime you have a Saturn Sun combination, there will be challenges associated with it. Sun does have a lot of positivity, but at the same time, if a planet comes too close to Sun, any planet comes too close to Sun in degrees, so usually it's within 5 to 10 degrees. If they are that close, then the Sun takes away, because we can see any planet because of sun's light. Okay, and if the planet comes too close to the sun, like if somebody's taking our picture and we are right in the sun, you get a shadowy image, right?
Sure.
So same thing, if a planet is too close, if another planet is too close to the sun, that planet itself will be combust. So there are different aspects that we need to look at what's happening within a specific chart. But so therefore, I don't give rules what happens when sun is in the first house or sun in the second house or sun in the third house, because it's a guideline and it's a very, very small guideline, because there's so many other things we need to look at. If depending on the ascendant, depending on what other aspects are there and everything. Does that make sense? But I can tell you that in general, in any chart, it doesn't matter what the lagna is and what ownership sun has. If sun is in the ascendant, or sun is in its own sign, or if sun is somehow related to the 10th sign or lord, it will give great administrative abilities and leadership qualities to the person. Okay, so we will move on. We'll go to moon.
Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just about the previous slide, you were talking about how Rahu and Sun are kind of contradictory to one another. So, they're not good because they're not good when in combination with one another. But so are we not to assume then, like in a lot of other religions, there's an aspect of like yin and yang, right? Where opposites work well in tandem with one another. And so like it offers balance to one another. Is that not true in this case?
I wouldn't, first of all, I have to think about the yin and yang concept within our astrology. I haven't thought about this, but I don't think they're naturally opposites. They're enemies to each other. Rahu and
Okay.
Sun are enemies. Okay, more than that, they are opposites, they are enemies.
Okay.
Rahu can actually create a shade, and we won't, like when the eclipse happens. Okay, we cannot get sun's rays. We just experience a solar eclipse. Sun was covered, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they are basically enemies.
Right. Okay. Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. So moon. Now, some people think moon is a male planet. Some people say it's a female planet. But for all extensive purposes, somewhere it's male because it's a father of Mercury. I have mentioned that Mercury is the illegitimate child of Moon and Jupiter's wife, Tara. But for all extensive purposes, Moon is considered a feminine planet. And when, in any analysis that we do, we will always think of moon as as a female planet. Okay, it represents the mother, it represents the nurturing qualities, all of those things. Okay, it's the emotions, uh, and moon is very, very difficult. Emotions are very, very difficult for anyone to manage. And the easiest way to manage moon, if someone has a weak moon, is to practice letting go. Okay, detachment from whatever has happened. Okay, a lot of people these days, uh, they suffer from a weak moon. Okay, it's pretty natural. If you hear about how many people are under emotional duress, or you hear about all those things, right? I had a mental breakdown, I was under depression, I was under depression is such a common word now. And a lot of people's moon is for some reason in today's society afflicted. So if somebody comes to you, and that's why, in fact, all the dasha calculations are from where moon is placed, which nakshatra, because the person's emotion will be how that person is experiencing life. Okay, so there's a direct correlation between a person's emotions and what that person is actually experiencing in life, unless that person is a sadhu, where he has practiced and mastered detachment. Okay, so the only other way, we can always come for some remedies, but if usually people, when they come to astrologers, they are going through some pain, some kind of pain they are going through. And how do astrologers determine that they are going through this pain? Is through the emotions. When we look at the dasha, we see, okay, this is the dasha, this is the placement in the chart. That means the person must be having these kinds of issues to trigger those kinds of emotions. And usually we can impact the results uh, in some way, but a lot of the times, along with the results, like karma theory, we also have to balance the person's moon so the person is not impacted as much emotionally, because it's the emotions which are the cause of all sickness. You have chemical reactions in your body which play havoc on you. Okay, uh, so Krishna is the. Why am I saying this? I'm subscribed to it. If I get logged off, I'm going to come back and sign in again. I don't know why it's giving me this, but uh, so I'll just continue. Krishna is the god which can balance a bad moon. So moon governs the mind. The color is white. The significances are mother. Change. Moon represents a lot of change because it moves so fast. So Jupiter is in one Rashi for 1 year. It's going to enter Taurus pretty soon, if you guys know. It's going to enter early May. Okay? It will stay in Taurus for 1 year. Moon changes Rashi every 2.5 days. So change. So moon represents change. So if somebody has moon in his 10th house, for example, I can say this person will have a lot of change in career. Okay, or that person will have a lot of travel in the job. So moon represents change, it represents travel, it also represents food. A lot of people with strong moon can own restaurants. Okay, emotion, obviously, it represents the subconscious mind. So what do you think is stronger, conscious mind or subconscious mind?
Subconscious mind.
I would say conscious, no?
I would say subconscious if you're aware of it.
I'll say subconscious actually when you're not aware of it. I think usually when it was, if you don't think about it, you always have
Then you're
these thoughts that are
subconscious.
subconscious. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're conscious, you know you're doing it. You know about it. You're being conscious.
Subconscious mind is stronger because you
Stronger.
don't even know what's affecting you and you cannot manage it. And that's why moon is very, very difficult to manage. Emotions are very, very difficult to manage. You may be aware of pain that you're facing, and you may also be aware of some cause, okay? But there's something deep within it. If something bothers you more than just a natural incident, then it's something more than that. Okay, subconscious mind is stronger. And why do you think Krishna can help a moon? Because he's the ultimate consciousness. So in Dashavtar Stotra, Krishna is not even considered a god. So Krishna is not considered an avatar in the Dashavtar Stotra. So all the ISKCON and everything, Hare Krishna, even there, like you read the Dashavtar, Krishna is not an avatar. They say Haladar Rupa, Haldar is Balram because he carried a Haldar, okay? But Krishna is not an avatar. They say Krishna Astu Bhagwan Swayam. Krishna is himself God, he's the ultimate consciousness. He was the only avatar that came with the all Athara Kalai. Since the day he was born, he started killing and he went on killing through magical ways. There's no other avatar did that. Since the day he was born, like the minute the magic started happening, the minute he was born, the magic started happening from that day, from that moment. Okay? So that's why Krishna is the only God that can help more. So I've been talking about moon is mind, moon is mana. In when we discuss in Hindi, we say moon is mana. Okay, it represents your man. It belongs to the business community. And also Mercury is a business person, but Moon is a very emotional business person. And Mercury will be a very smart business person. Surya is idealistic. Surya can remove all sins. Bhagwan Ram was ideal. He was very idealistic. He's the God who's considered Maryada Purushottam, not Krishna. Okay, but Krishna is considered the ultimate consciousness. Now, the native can be very emotional and sensitive in the significances of the houses, which we have not done, okay, where moon is placed in. So we have to study that house very carefully. Okay, you see what we are studying now, we must know this stuff inside out because they are the crux of when we start to do analysis. When I'm studying any chart and I'm looking at moon or I'm looking at sun or I'm looking at Mars, I'm thinking about what are the significances or tattvas of this planet, of this house, which are the basics we are learning now. And from there, I'm looking at combinations to understand, okay, which significance am I going to focus on here? What result will this planet give in this chart? Because significances are quite a bit. So one of the significances of moon is liquid. Okay, now liquid. So someone who is working in the dairy industry. Okay, they also have a strong moon. The moon is definitely connected with the 10th house or the 10th lord, because 10th house is profession. Okay, if a person got cheated and comes and said, if the person says, this happened, somebody cheated me, immediately I know I have to look at the moon. Did moon have a role to play? Did this person undergo a dasha or an antardasha or a pratantra dasha with moon in it? Because moon signifies cheating. So that's, now look at cheating, mother, change, food. They are so different things. But we have to figure out, that's why we talk about Desh, Kal, Patra. We have to know something about the native a little bit. Okay, if a person from India comes, a parent from India comes and they're talking about their child, and their child is at a marriageable age, which in India is 23, 25, whatever. It's very different than when a parent comes in Canada at 23, because chances are that person just came out of university and they're going to get settled. They are not, the question of marriage is not immediately on their mind. So Desh means a lot. We have to know something about the native. So there's a lot of information we have to gather. The best astrologer is one who makes a great counselor, and who is a great counselor, who is a great listener. So if you listen, you will, the person's story will start to play out in terms of planets and which possible houses are they placed in. So one time somebody had made a point and I said, that's good, form your hypothesis. Because when person is talking, I'm forming most good astrologers are forming a hypothesis. And then they're just going in the chart to prove or disprove that hypothesis. And that's how they learn too. If you just memorize and just execute on it, you won't become a very good astrologer. But if you're listening, and you're understanding what each planet is about, you understand the tattvas of that planet, okay, then you can make a huge difference. You have to be able to relate to, okay, this person is saying, having a hard time in marital life. Okay, it has to be something with the 7th house, 7th lord.